She's standing by the edge of his body. Beyond him is the abyss of her true desire, the dark drop into the longing she safely lived in her mind, within the prison of his inconsistent love. Beyond his absence is another chance to live what she lost to him. She has waited 5 years, 10 years, her whole life, but there is a terrifying dissension between the cliffs of his presence and the oceans of her true longing. Every time he screams is the last time, every violence is the last, and still the car stays in the driveway. There is a graveyard by the ledge of love that I walk often, reading the tombstones of longings never lived. Mine, my mother's, the whole lineage of sacred women. On the other side of the family we wanted to leave was always a man. He was the lower end of the pool we entered before we were prepared to swim. When we knew how terrifying a thing freedom could be, it could make you sick, leave you with a turning stomach and a throat that won't heal because of how nauseating true freedom could be. It's nothing like what I imagined. My freedom wasn't leaving him. It couldn't be that simple. It wasn't the open road waiting for me on the other side of him. It wasn't the permission to chase every possible lover that fidelity kept me from. It was the raw, uncooked hour of my own presence, facing the empty paper, answering the suddenness of an open door and an unprepared body. Because what do you do with freedom? I mean, really, what do you do with a freedom you were never taught how to use? Maybe we do what our native countries have done, who fought like hell to end their occupation, only to summon a dictator not long after. And for the Arab woman who wants to learn about liberation, she has to watch her mother. What did my mother do when she was finally freed of my father and her father, when being away from her family no longer meant being married? She had her own apartment, a job that treated her like the worthy woman she was, a daughter that was easy, in love with her even. Like Syria, she lived a short time tasting the thrills of her new life, but she couldn't hold it for long. The rush of this new feeling faded and she began to burn letters in the sink, to lock her door 3 times. She began to crave again what she knew. The angry Arab man felt safer to her than this open freedom where danger was just as likely to pass as any good. If freedom is currency, I am curious about what a woman uses it to buy. Does she take her new dollars and walk back to the city she meant to live in, were it not for his arrival? Does she buy that class, begin those paintings? Does she wear that dress and that flower in her hair that her family always used to make fun of? Far from the tribe's eye, does she finally dare? And can she hold that money long enough to sustain her new freedom, to build something stable? Or does she take her crumbled dollars to the store of life and forget what it was she meant to buy on the way? Does she do what she swore she would do when she was no longer a captive of her family's balcony, when she could speak to that man face to face and not from the 4th floor of her prison? Or does she walk past him with the numb gaze of a woman who no longer recognizes her longing's first love? When we arrive, as every stubborn woman always will, to the other side, do we remember the desires we spoke in our prison? Or is freedom so disorienting to the captive that, like the starving, we simply eat what comes to us? And I wanted to ask if our freedom is even native to who we are, or is it the American hamburger we're forcing against our body system? Is an Arab woman's freedom the same as an American woman's freedom? Are we following a colonial definition of liberation when we walk the road out of our fathers and lovers? When we arrive into cities with our names on a lease, distanced from the families who wounded us, prepared to give all our life blood for a room that keeps us far, is this really our native longing for freedom? Or is it a second-hand story we accepted from the women who lived very different stories from us? Each day I take my freedom out of its little room and I try to let it show me what it wants to become. We walk the streets for hours, living again and again what wasn't allowed to us, which is embarrassingly simple. Just that I can open my door at any hour and walk in whichever direction I want to. It's been 12 years and I still have not outlived this desire, this revenge for every longing to open a door and to walk a road I couldn't. But is that freedom? Is it the antonym of every no I received in my life? If my freedom is built on the definition of what I wasn't allowed to do, then that makes me captive to the very voices I claim to be liberated from. Instead, what if freedom is not doing what I wasn't allowed to do, but living what I've never considered the possibility of, from the prison that allowed me only the tiniest gaze on life?